Hello everyone, it's October again, so everyone knows what that means. It's time for a new Jackbox Party Pack. Well, kind of. Everyone is probably aware that the Jackbox Naughty Pack came out just a while ago, and being a family-friendly person, I really didn't pay much attention to it, because it's made to not be family-friendly, so it's not for me. But instead, what we got now is the game that is for everyone. We got the Jackbox Survey Scramble. Now, this game is a little bit like Espionage, for those of you who have played the previous games before, where it is taking a lot of pooled data and pooling it all together into one place so that they can sort through it. But the biggest difference between Espionage and this one is they're constantly gathering more data. While you're sitting in the lobby, you can submit more answers to the surveys, and while you submit other questions, submit other answers during the games themselves, they will also be adding some of those answers into the survey as well. So it is constantly adapting and growing, so that if you get the same survey again in a different day, it may very well have a different set of answers for you so that you don't go through the same again and again. At least that's the theory. Now, it's only been out for a couple days. I haven't actually gone back to see how much it updates, but it claims it does, so hopefully we'll find out. If you want to find out with me, join us every Monday and Thursday over on Twitch, where we do Jackbox games every Monday and Thursday, and we keep it very family-friendly. No naughty packs for us or anything like that. Come and join us. So, what is the game? So, there are 4 different game modes that you can play in this single game. This is only a single game. It is only $10 on Steam. It is far cheaper than the other party packs have been because it's only the one game. And within that game, there are 4 distinct modes that you can play. The first of which is the simplest, so we'll go into that first, is high-low. And as the name implies, you're looking for high answers and low answers. Whenever you go into one of these games, it will give you an option of 3 randomly pulled surveys. Now, from what I have seen based on the surveys that they did leading up to the release of this game, we're probably looking at roughly 80 to maybe 100 different categories that you can pick from. So in our first day of playing this on stream, I never encountered the same survey twice, which was a very welcome change as there's very few in the demo. But of course they didn't want to give you everything in the demo. That was understandable. So in high-low, the first 2, you want to pick a high answer. So you always want to shoot for the number 1 answer, right? Well, yes, because the higher answer you get, the more points it's worth. But there's a catch. If any other player or players say the same thing as you, you will split the points evenly between you. So even if you get the number 1 answer, but there's 3 of you, it will be divided 3 ways. So it may not be the most ideal to just go for what you think, or know if you've somehow done this survey before in this rotation, is the number 1 answer. So that is always a little bit of a strategy of what do you want to do. This is a very quick game. You have 60 seconds, you answer the questions, it goes through and tells you the numbers. The higher you got, the more points you do in both rounds. Then it asks you for the lowest answers, which you may think is like, if it asks you like what are the best fixings on a sandwich, well, you may think of, well, okay, what's the worst things to put on a sandwich? You know, ridiculous things like a battery. Well, those things won't be on the list. And if it's not on the list, it won't let you input that answer. So you actually have to come up with something that is on the list. At least some people said was good. Now, it could certainly be a troll that was not thinking it's really good, or someone that is just very unusual or from a different culture than yourself and thinks that, you know, that's a very common thing to put on a sandwich. All the more power to them. So you do the same thing, and it's much more unlikely that for the low answers you answer the exact same thing as somebody else, but you would still split the points again. And then for the final round, if you have not revealed the entire top 10, which will break this final answer, at least it did the one time we did it, is it will give you an option of 2 different things that are on the list. You have to guess which one is higher for a small additional bonus, and then the person with the most points at the end of all that wins the round. And all in all, very simple, very quick. This is a game that is great if you just have a little bit of time, want to blow through some things, laugh at some weird, kooky survey results. So the next one I'm going to talk about is squares, because this is the other one that's not one of the speed types. This is another one of the more laid-back ones. You are divided into 2 teams. You can choose whichever teams you want in this one, and you will also be offered a different survey that you can choose one of 3. Everybody votes, and whichever one gets the most votes is the one you do. And you're greeted with a tic-tac-toe board, where the squares are divided into ranges. 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, so on and so forth, as you can see here. And then as a team, you have to guess an answer that is within that range in order to claim that square. But the trick is, even if you claim that square, unless you get the top answer that is within that range, so 1, 3, 6, 11, so on and so forth, you cannot lock the square. You need to get that top answer to lock it so the other team can't possibly steal it. And so it goes back and forth between the two teams as you try to fill in the squares and get 3 in a row as a tic-tac-toe. You can, if you input an answer that is within a range but lower than what was already done, it will tell you this and allow you to answer again. If you answer something that's not on the list, it'll allow you to answer again. So you have to either improve your standing on a square, claim a square, or steal a square from the other team before your turn will pass, or you bleed out the entire timer trying to figure out something. And the first 1 to 3 in a row wins. This is a mode that can be over in 30 seconds, or it can take quite a long time depending on how many bouncing squares go back and forth, how long it takes some people to find answers. But it's a much more strategic one, which is interesting, though you will definitely have a little more downtime where you're not really doing something because you're just typing in suggestions to your teammates. Now the other one that I will talk about, now that we move into the speedier categories, is, well, speed. This one is probably my personal favorite of the 4. Speed is all about, as it says, speed. You are thrown in as an entire group, you're given the entire survey worth of answers, some of which have up to like 440 answers on it. That is some of the beauty and chaos of this game, that, as the song says, it laughs at top 10 or top 25 lists. It goes insane. And like I said, it's all about finding the right words, or in this case, find the right button if you click down below and find that like and subscribe button. I mean, what? Best buttons to click on YouTube? Those will be up there. Be a great survey. But yeah, so you are trying to find any answer that's on the list. It doesn't matter whether it's number 1 or number 400. You will gain additional time if you find a right answer, though you do seem to get more points based on how high the answer is on the list. So you will just keep going through. It will pause every so often to let you collect your thoughts, see the scores, and think about other words to put in. Like, we did really well in a 3-letter word category that we filled in a lot of the list because it's, well, just any 3-letter word you can think of. Some of which weren't on the list, but there's a lot of them. And it's all just rapid fire, everybody going at once. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of quick thinking. I really enjoyed it. That's probably my favorite of the modes, and then especially as it just goes through in the end and scrolls through all of the things that you did. It's really quite fun. And it's something that everyone works together on. I mean, sure, there's always the winner, but it's more to me like just how much you can fill in that list. And I'm sure there is somewhere, somehow, somebody has the challenge to completely fill in a list. I don't know if it'll ever actually happen, but that would be amazing to see. And finally, the 4th mode that is currently in the game, for it does claim in the little pop-ups that appear at the top of the game that there will be new modes coming eventually, which would be quite interesting, and I hope that they actually do this. But the last one is called Bounce. And this one is honestly a little rough, especially because of when trying to stream this kind of game, or if you're not playing this in a localized place, the kind of delay that the game has makes it a little more difficult. So once again, you're divided into teams, and you're given your category, your survey, to answer. And you have to play Pong, more or less, bouncing a ball with a paddle along the bottom of the screen. And the more popular an answer is, the further left the paddle goes, and the less popular answer, the further to the right it goes. So you have to put the ball under it so your team bounces the paddle off of it. I mean, it goes slow enough that it can be okay for a stream, but it can be very difficult to know it's your turn, come up with a thing fast enough. And I mean, that is part of the idea because it's a speed game. But yeah, if you have any more than the classic second or two delay that most things have, it will be very difficult for you to find and catch it. And if you use the same answer more than once, it will start to shrink your paddle, which you can return your paddle to larger size by getting new words to use instead that are within the range. And those are the four games. The only unique setting that this one has is that you can drop in and out, so that whenever you go to the lobby, even if the game has already started, people can drop in and drop out, which I personally like and turn on so that it allows other people to come in even though you're in between rounds. The other way you can play it is just let the game pick you a mode with you pick, or there's the tour mode, which just lets you play one of each of the games in a row. Though do keep in mind that if you play this mode, you cannot go back to the lobby and let people drop in and out if you do tour. And that is the Jackbox Survey Scramble. It has a lot of interesting ways to play with data, and especially as someone who's very data focused as an engineer, I find it very fascinating, this kind of stuff, so it works for me. Is it worth $10 to you for only the one game instead of these packs of 5 that are usually more than $10? But it's very unusual for the party pack to Jackbox to release them this way. I know the Naughty Pack came along, and for most people that's okay, but for me personally, I will never touch that because that is just not the way I play these games. So, what do you think of the Jackbox Survey Scramble? Have you played and enjoyed it? I think it's a fine addition to our collection of games that we will be playing for now and probably for many years to come still. Thank you all for watching. I hope this explained to you what the Jackbox Party Pack newest game is with the Jackbox Survey Scramble. Go on out there, have some fun with some surveys, and see what weird, wacky things go on in the mind of the internet. It can be a scary place. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more. As always, everyone, remember to be awesome. Until next one, take care.